Webheads, unite! That's right, guys. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And this is After the Poll. Welcome, guys. This is episode 15. Things are heating up in Batman issue 88. That's right. So welcome to the show, guys. I see we got quite a few commenters already waiting for the stream to happen. So guys, before we get started, remember, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. And of course, guys, hit the bell so you don't miss any content from me. It's super important. So we let this channel know that it exists. And at any time, if you want to throw in a super chat, that helps the channel go a long way too. So I can continue to purchase these books to share with you guys and to help this channel grow. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining. I think we're going to have a great show today. I think today we're going to be talking about the first book. What we're going to be talking about today, I think, is Ant-Man issue 1. We're going to be talking about Darth Vader issue 1. I mean, there's a lot of number ones that are coming out this week, right? X-Men Fantastic Four issue 1. The Immortal Hulk Great Power issue 1. Then you have, issue 40 of Justice League, but it's a new creative team that's on there. So that's kind of like a number one. It's a new jumping on point. And then you have Batman 88, which is the third issue of the new creative team for that one. So pretty much all new books, new creative teams, nothing old here. So let's check out our comments so far. Let's see what we got. And there it is. Andrew is the first one on the show. He's like, what up, webheads? So he's on there. And then Grandpa says, what up, Andrew, man? You're always the first true webhead. LOL. That's awesome. And he says, I look forward to this each and every week. So Tone Loke is like, hello, webheads. And then his comments just kind of jumped up. Hold on. And then there's a issue with Sean says, hey-o. And River City Noel says, hello, everybody. And Hero and the Kid is on, says, afternoon, everyone. And Brian Lawrence is on. He says, what's up, all? Esau says, yo, Mike. Welcome back. Nola is on the show. What's up, Slayer of Spiders? That's right. And Slayer's Spider's named Mike. It's like reversed, right? Tom's Comic Book and Reviews says, hey. Brian says, Ant-Man was good. I liked it. Lee Smith's like, what's up, boss? Nola says, I'm listening to you while I'm working down here in the cool New Orleans air. That's awesome. Hey, that's great, man. If this helps your work day, I'm happy that it does. River City Noel says, I'm excited for Batman to see where it goes. We'll talk about Batman for sure, but this issue was finally a good issue. Not that the other ones were bad, but there was too many empty holes. And this one kind of put things into play a little bit more. Now it got me excited. Xavier Frank says, love the artwork in Spider-Verse featuring Noir. I didn't read that one, but I think I'm going to actually read... I don't know. I think they got a Noir series that's coming out. And this one says Lyric Magic Moments is on there. And he says, hi there, Mike. So guys, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you joining today. Like I said, we're going to talk about those books here in a minute. We have about 14 viewers right now. So again, thank you. And also thank you for the wonderful comments for yesterday's comic book haul. You guys are awesome there, checking it out. And the cover of the week and also most anticipated of the week. So I keep you guys going. Hopefully, if I get time this week, I'm going to give you some solicitation videos when it comes to the Marvel previews and DC previews to see what's coming out, I think, in April, if I'm staying so corrected. And I have to keep the garage closed today, so no natural sunlight. So sorry if the lighting is off, but I got some people pressure washing outside today, and it's all windy and everything. So if I open the garage, it's going to blow all my shit over. So it's going to be a complete disaster. All right. So let's get this party started. Let's talk about some comic books, right? So here we go. let's talk comic books. Remember, guys, warning, there are spoilers in this show. So if you have not read your comic books, please go and read them. Or if you haven't read a particular comic book and you just want to mute it and not hear it, you can mute it until I'm done talking about it. But yeah, this show is full of spoilers. All right, so first book we're going to talk about is Ant-Man. This is issue 1. Now, at first I wasn't going to buy Ant-Man, but then I was like, you know what? When Nick Spencer wrote Ant-Man, I was like, it was actually halfway decent. It was pretty good. It was funny. It had kind of like Scott Lang's humor in there. And I thought, well, maybe here, Zeb Wells, who actually writes this book, might do a very similar thing, right? So, and then it's got his daughter, Cassie Lang, which is no longer Stature. It's Stinger, I think her name actually is in here. Okay. The artwork is very, if there's a word like comic booky cartoon, it's very cartoon like. Okay. So if you look at this book and you don't like a very cartoony style of artwork, this might not be for you, because this is very like Saturday morning cartoonish type of art. You can see the crazy facial expressions in this book and whatnot. And again, even the coloring is good. It's bright and vibrant, but you would think that this book attracts like a younger audience. You would think that's kind of what it's made for. And the story is very lighthearted. This first issue is, at least anyway. So it's kind of cool because in the beginning, we wound up getting to see Cassie and Scott, they're teaming up against AIM agents. And, it was kind of cool seeing them work together. But then Scott, he's very poor. He doesn't have very much money. He doesn't have a real job and whatnot. And he winds up getting this job at finding bees because all the bees are disappearing. And this book takes place in Florida, and they're one of the larger populations in the United States that have bees. So he was hired to do this. Okay. And what happens is he takes a flying ant over there and he goes to like the beehive or whatever it is, and he comes across Swarm. Now, I was a huge fan of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends back in the day when that show came out. And there's this one episode where it's called Swarm. And Swarm was like, obviously he's put together by like bees and all this crazy shit. And all he ever says is swarm, 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 swarm. And it's just like, I could never forget that episode. It was like Marvel was hypnotizing me like right when I was like a kid, right? 8, 9 years old. So when I see Swarm now, I'm like, dude, that reminds me of Amazing Spider-Man. And so he does this battle against Swarm, and he's gathering all these bees together to kind of stop these other weird creatures, which was name of Vespa, the Spectre of Hornets, Thread, the silkworm ghoul, and Tusk, the rhino beetle Hulk. And this is what they look like. And I'm just like, dude, what is up with this shit? I'm like, this is so weird. So he's like going to be doing battle in like this like beehive, it's kind of crazy. The character interactions were kind of cool. Cassie and Scott, they don't always see eye to eye together, and maybe people might not like that type of relationship right now, and they might not like Scott like in his financial status, as he's living in an ant pile. But nevertheless, I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was entertaining. Sometimes comics don't need to be so serious all the time, and this seems like one of those comic books. It seems like a more lighthearted story, and I enjoyed it. I think it will be good enough for me to pick up issue 2. So yeah, Ant-Man #1, guys. Tell me what you think in these comments. What did you think of it? Did you read it? Did you skip it? Do you not take Ant-Man seriously? Do you consider him like a real Avenger, even though he's one of the original Avengers or whatnot? Because at first I was going to pass on this. At first I wasn't actually even going to talk about this, but I was like, you know what? Ant-Man is a very relevant character today. Like, everybody knows him from the movies, and he's got a new comic book series. So fuck, why not talk about him, right? So yeah, it wasn't bad. It was okay. I'll check out issue 2. I want to see more character development. I want to see what Scott's supporting cast is going to be like. And yeah, I think this could be a lot of fun in the future. So we'll see what happens with it. All right. So let's see. Got a few comments here. So let's check out what everyone says. All right. What do we got here? Brian Lawrence said hello, and Esau said yo, and so we got this. I gotta go find more of these comments. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Spider-Verse Noir was great. A lot of play to Indiana Jones. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's cool and neat to know there. And Southern Comic Geek is, I almost picked up Spider-Verse this week. Can I pick up and not miss anything, or would you have to go back to get the other Spider-Verses? I'm not sure. I haven't read a single issue. No, I take that back. I read the first issue of Spider-Verse, this newest series, and I did not like it at all. It just was, for me, it was just, I didn't like it how, who was it? Was it Miles in the book? How he was like falling all over the place. And I didn't find it enjoyable. So I don't know. It might be a continuing series. If someone else in the comments can comment on that, that would be awesome. Hero and the Kid says, yeah, I think you'd be fine if you picked that one up. Okay. So there's the answer to your question. Ant-Man was a fun first issue. Exactly. And I think this is a story where you might have to get, a few issues of it, maybe to develop a little bit, to see where it's actually going to go, to see what the main plot line is going to be. Nola says, Mike, absolutely love the solicitation videos you do. That is one of my favorite types of all different channels. So yeah, like I said, if I can get a chance to do one, hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to try. Very busy day for me tomorrow, but I'm going to try to definitely at least get that Marvel one up. I would have gotten it up anyway today, even before this video, but I got tied up with some other appointments. And Nola says, I like to hear and see what other opinions are in the community. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what makes the comic community so good. I mean, there's so many of us out there, and I do the same thing. I watch other comic book reviewers as well, and curious to see what they think about certain comics or what shows they do and stuff like that too. Lyric Magic Moment says, Ant-Man is a fun character. Not a bad read. We'll get issue 2 as well. And then Hero and the Kid says, it's only a 6-issue miniseries. So we're talking about Ant-Man. Ant-Man is a 6-issue miniseries. I guess that kind of sucks. They make so many miniseries. It's not even funny. I think we're getting New Warriors returning to Marvel. And I found out today, I was kind of skimming through those solicitation books. And I think it's only a 5-issue mini as well. So there's so many of these miniseries. But be ready for Empire to be affecting every single one of your Marvel books very soon. Be ready for that. Hero and the Kid. Okay, he's talking about Spider-Verse, so it's not Ant-Man. Okay, so cool. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, so next, guys, the next book we're going to be talking about today is Darth Vader. All right, so first of all, if I ever wanted this comic to be worth anything, it's not going to happen because Marvel did the cheap cover on this one where all my fingerprints are showing all over it. I mean, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it with that glare, but you got all the fingerprints all over there. I already bent a corner of it when it was in my car yesterday. So it's like, oh, well, what are you going to do? But not that the books is going to be worth anything anyway, but it's just funny. It's just like, even if I try to take care of it, I can't, it's not going to be worth anything because of those freaking fingerprints. I read it one time and it's full of freaking fingerprints. I can't stand that. I spend $5 for a book and then yet it's like, it's a piece of shit. Anyway, Star Wars, the other side of the story when it comes to Darth Vader, right? You got to see what's going on with Luke Skywalker in this Star Wars book. Now we get to see a point of view from Darth Vader. He realizes that his son doesn't want to join the dark side, right? And now he's trying to do this investigation because he wants to try to find his son. And what's kind of cool is you see this point of view of him doing the battle against Luke Skywalker, which is kind of cool. And you get to see his arm being chopped off and whatnot, which is awesome. And he gets a forensic droid, and this forensic droid is going to go to this on this mission with him, and everything that happens, this droid records. And it's kind of funny because Darth Vader sits there and he's like, yeah, Darth Vader reprograms him and says, if you tell anybody anything about what goes on here, you're going to self-destruct, which is kind of funny. And Darth Vader is very much Darth Vader in his book. He does not say a lot. So the way you know him when he was in Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back, even Return of Jedi, he's a man of few words here. He really keeps that mysterious aspect about him, and I think that's kind of cool. So you get to see this Imperial shuttle go to Tatooine and try to investigate, and you get to see a lot of flashbacks of what has happened to Anakin throughout his years, because this brings him back, you know. He's trying to find out clues about Luke, but it brings him back again to his childhood. You know, he remembers his mother, he remembers his parents or his mother, and he remembers, you know, certain things about Padme and him creating droids and all kinds of cool things like that. How he talked about how he killed all the Tusken Raiders, so it goes back to that. How he's gone down this path that, you know, she can't forget, and, you know, she dies, and it's kind of cool. You know, the decisions that Anakin has made, it's kind of, you see that here happen in this book. So it's really well done. I love the pain and the suffering that you see Darth Vader go through in this book. You get to see some kind of like pirates go after Darth Vader, and Darth Vader does, you know, he takes care of them in no time flat, which was kind of cool. So there's some little bit of action in this book. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of it, he winds up going to Padme's old place on Coruscant, which was kind of cool. And yeah, and then it finishes it up with where he meets up with a woman that looks just like Padme, and he even questions her, and he's like, Padme? And that's what happens at the end of the issue. And you're like, oh shit. You're like, who is that? Because she looks a little older based on the artwork in here. And you know, so who is this person? And he found her in the place. So again, who is it? So I thought it was a cool book. You know, you can still feel that pain and suffering that Darth Vader is going through. You know, he's always thinking of Padme. He's always thinking of Luke. And, you know, and we get to see that this is going to be this investigation, you know, to try to find his son, you know, and I thought that that's neat. And what he comes across is still yet to be determined. But I think this is going to be a really good adventure. I think fans are going to like this book, especially if you're a Darth Vader fan. And Greg Pak is the writer for this book. The only thing I could say is I wish the artwork was a little better, maybe a little more detailed or polished or whatnot. But it was good. It was good. You know, it was nothing to complain about. I've definitely seen, you know, artwork that just doesn't, you know, fit the bill, but this one does, but it could have been better. So yeah, I definitely recommend Darth Vader, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, and who's not a Vader fan, right? I mean, you always want to read about him, and this is the perfect time period for it. All right. So let's see if we have any other comments that has to do with Darth Vader or anything else. So 2, 7, 8, 9. All right. So here we go. So Lyric Magic Moment says the designer I'm hearing will appear in issue 90. Oh, we're talking about Batman. Is that what we're doing? Okay. Well, we'll get to Batman for sure. That's going to be the last book we talk about. Looking forward to that one. Yeah, because Kyle said it's Kyle asked, did the designer show up in the Batman? So I don't even know, is the designer a new character? All right. Let's see. All right. Hero and the Kid like Vader, thought it was fun. Nola says, I passed on the book because I didn't like the art. I love Burnett's art in Cosmic Ghost Rider, but this was way less detailed and rushed looking. I can totally understand that. Artwork is like half the battle when it comes to comic books, at least for me, almost 3/4, because I love to look at those panels, and I feel like that's just as important to tell the story as it is the writing. River City Noel says, you got to love them black covers. Oh my gosh. Sometimes they're not that bad, but it's the way their paper quality is for certain, Marvel books, that sit there and put those fingerprints on there. It's just absolutely horrible. Andrew says, oh man, Darth Vader was so good. This is my favorite era of Star Wars, between Empire and the Return of the Jedi. So I'm eating this one up. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, I think out of all the Vader books that have come out so far, this probably will be the best one if the writing continues to be solid here, because the time period's right there. Hero and the Kid says, I just like the part where Vader says, who made Luke weak? I'm going to kill them all. LOL. It was a good scene. Sean Brown says, Vader was awesome first issue. Xavier Frank says, LOL, he's going to kill everybody. That's pretty much it. He definitely is. Oh yeah, Darth Vader #1 is so low quality paper. It's so bad. Yeah, I just don't get it. Why do you charge? How can you charge $5 for a book and have such shit ass paper quality? You're paying $5 as it is because you're paying for the extra page count. But dude, you got to make a solid cover. At least make a solid cover. That's what I like about the DC Black Label books, or even just DC books in general. I feel like their quality is much better than Marvel's in many ways, All right. Xavier says him walking through the fire was beautiful. That was kind of a cool scene. You're like, oh yeah, we hit him. I did hit him. And he's just like walking through like nothing. Nola says, I know I'm lagging a bit behind. I heard Marvel started the mini series because they didn't want to have to cancel series before the runs finish anymore and have the perception of failure. Unstoppable Wasp example. Oh, okay. Gotcha there. And Coffee Breath joins the show and says, what's up, y'all? And Nola says, Unstoppable Wasp was canceled twice in 2 years before issue 9 by the same writer. That was the catalyst. Not ranting, just stating facts that I've heard. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next book. So we're moving right along here. And we're going to talk about X-Men plus Fantastic Four issue 1. So this is another new #1 book this week, guys. And I appreciate the 23 viewers that are on. Again, please give this live stream a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, guys. Be part of the Webhead community. And I'm trying to decide what to do to get you guys on an actual more community, like creating a Facebook page or a Patreon or something like that. So you have a guys, you have a place for you guys to actually go to, maybe some polls or something like that. It's just something that I can manage that's not too difficult. So that's what I'm trying to think of. So any ideas, put it in the comments section, guys. All right, so we're talking about X-Men Fantastic Four. This one's done by Zdarsky. And let's see. The artwork is done by, I don't even know. Terry Dotson is the penciler. I feel like that the artwork is good at times, and then at other times it felt a little bit rushed. But certain times facial features in this book, the characters look good. Like for this instance, like Reed, he just looks a little bit off in this particular issue. I don't know. But I love the way Sue Storm looked in this book, like when she had good facial expressions, and Kitty looked in here. Like this particular picture right there of Sue, like that looks really good. And I wish I saw more of that artwork. I wish it was more consistent. So what happens in this book? So Franklin Richards is a mutant, right? We all know that at this point. And 29 viewers, let's break 30. And at this point, he's a mutant, and we all know that. And the mutants are kind of like, okay, we know that Franklin Richards is losing his abilities. His powers are draining. And for some reason, we don't know why. Every time he uses them, it doesn't replenish itself. So the mutants want him back. They think that maybe they can help him and that he should be part of be part of Krakoa because that's who he is. And so really what happens in this book is we wind up seeing the mutants go to Reed and Sue and Ben, and we wind up seeing that they're like, yeah, we want him, and of course Reed puts up this this defensive and be like, you're not taking him. He could, in a few years, he's going to be aged up enough to where he would want to go on his own anyway. Why are you forcing his hand? And you're like, well, he needs to be part of this because he should welcome his home and he should know what he's a part of. And Reed is just like, but he is home. This is where he belongs. And we get to see this big fight between the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Things started to escalate. And of course, Franklin gets upset. He has a good relationship with Kitty Pryde because way back in 1987 with Avengers vs. X-Men, something happened with Kitty and he helped save her life or whatever the case may be. So they have this special relationship and they could talk with each other. And Kitty says, well, what do you want to do? And so deep down in his gut, Franklin wants to actually go to Krakoa. He's curious. He wants to see, what it has to offer and whatnot. So what happens is while this whole fight was going on, we see that Franklin was like, I made up my mind. And he tries to go through the Krakoan gate. And what happens is his father made it to the point to where it hides his mutant ability so he can't go through the Krakoan gate. And Franklin had no idea that he did this. And Franklin is pissed at his dad because what his dad should have been doing was helping him come up for a reason why he can't restore his powers. But instead, he's been finding ways to hide his mutant power. So he's very upset. And so at the end of the day, when he gets sent back to his room, him and Valeria wind up leaving and they go on Kate Pryde's ship, the Marauder ship, and they stow away on it. And when they stow away on it, they think they're going back to Krakoa, but they don't know that she's actually on a current mission, okay, to pick up other mutants and things like that. But what comes across, their ship is good old freaking Dr. Doom. So that's what happens here. And we see now that Dr. Doom is going to be after Franklin as well. So now you got the X-Men, you got the Fantastic Four, and you got Dr. Doom. So I thought this was a pretty cool story. I love how this is about Franklin and him making a decision on what he wants to do. And I love that his sister's involved with it as well, too. And it's kind of neat. Don't know where this book actually takes place in the current timeline because we all know that if you read Marauders, currently Kitty Pryde is kind of under the water drowning. So what's going on there? So this could take place before or after, I don't know, but it's a great book. It's a great read and I quite enjoyed it. So I'll be definitely picking up issue 2 with this one. All right. So we got quite a few comments here. So let's take them before we go on to the next book. So 28. Come on, guys. We can push for 30. We could do it for the second week in a row. Let's see here. They need to do a better job here on StreamYard about keeping track of the comments, like where you last left off. Let's see. Okay, we saw that. Let's see. Oh, yes. First off, I just want to give a shout out to Bavarian. Thank you so much. You got a $3.99 super chat. So that's really cool. Thank you so much for doing that. That's awesome. Thank you, Bavarian. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless on it. Really cool stuff. I'll get to that super chat. Yeah, I'll display shortly. I'm trying to find the current one. All right, see. My God, the comments are horrible this time. Sorry, guys. Just took forever to load for some reason. All right, here we go. Finally. Hero in the Kid says, for as much money Marvel has, there are a lot of indie comics that put out better quality paper comics. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Uh, uh, my good friend Brant Fowler from Last Ember Press, he has his own publishing company, and the quality of comics that he produces is amazing. The cardstock on his covers are great. They would hold up so well. And Trinidad Gomez says, "What up, homie?" So welcome to the show. Coffee Breath says, so good. Esau says Facebook/Instagram page would be a good idea. I do have an Instagram if you guys want to follow it. Same thing, Comic Book Corner 2.0. I post things on there like video links and some pages of my comic books, or you can even check out my YouTube community page. I post things on there as well, too. You guys just hit community and you search for me there. But I'm looking for something a little more solid, I guess. Andrew says, X-Men Fantastic Four was a great setup issue. Looking forward to this story. 35 viewers. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. Luke says, I just recently got back into comics and decided to start watching more of your videos. I've subscribed and used to watch your channel years ago, and I still love it. That's awesome. You know, how back do you go? Do you go back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, or do you go back to the original Comic Book Corner where I started everything and it was just Walking Dead reviews? I remember doing those reviews, and they got like good viewership at the time for me. And I was just like, man, everyone loves The Walking Dead. You know, hopefully we can find a show that, it's just as popular again. Discord. Yeah, I could do a Discord too as well, called Stark Variant. And Barbarian, she says, hey, everyone. Hello, friends and new webheads. Lyric Magic Moment says, I picked up the Mark Brooks cover for the Fantastic Four book, going to be a connecting cover, so we'll pick up issue 2 to get the great covers. Yes, that one has like Dr. Doom on it, right? And then you connect the other side of it and it's going to have Dr. Doom. I remember that. Hero and the Kid says, between this and Daredevil, Zdarsky is showing that he is a hell of a writer. You know, I regret not picking up Daredevil from the beginning now. I really do, because so many people just sit there and talk about Daredevil, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I not pick up this book, you know? So I'm going to have to see if I can get this in trade. Grandmaster says, hi. How you doing? And Andrew's just like, Doom. And Coffee Breath is like, it says Doom as well. And Sebastian says, hey, Slayer, what's up, my fellow webheads? Let's talk some comics. That's what we're doing, Sebastian. Welcome to the show. Coffee Breath says, hell yeah, Andrew. Xavier Frank says, Doom is ruining everything for me. He's like Team Rocket from Pokemon. That's hilarious. Tone Loke says, big thanks, Mike, for last week's After the Pool. Your review helped me about Amazing Spider-Man Daily Bugle. Big fat no. I was on the fence about Avengers Wasteland, and I picked that up. Did you like that, Tone Loke? Hopefully you like that one. And then there's the super chat from Bavarian, so I really appreciate it. Do you also read during football commercials? I do. Is that what it is? Is that what it says? I do not read during football commercials. Well, maybe I do. During the Super Bowl, I didn't read any comics. I actually watched the entire Super Bowl after the tennis tournament that I had to run. I do read comic books in between commercials on TV when I watch TV. But thank you, Bavarian, for that awesome super chat. Thank you so much. It's amazing. Andrew, great minds. Coffee Breath, great minds. He's just giving a thumbs up. Tevia is on the show, says hello. Tevia says, any opinion on Wally West becoming the new Dr. Manhattan? Because my God. Yeah, I heard about that. I think Andrew is the one that posted on yesterday's comic book haul from Newsarama that the new comic book day issue is going to be featuring the 5G thing that actually follows Flash Forward or something like that, and or takes place right after the Wonder Woman story in the 750th issue. So that's pretty cool, I guess. It gets you excited for New Comic Book Day, and I guess the Flash is going to have the Mobius chair. So I don't know. We'll see. But why does everything have to center around freaking Wally West, right? So Tevye is like, he's like, I'm not happy. And Tone Loc goes, yeah, Facebook group. I agree. So I have a Facebook page. So Facebook page is different from Facebook group. Is that, that's the shit that I don't know. So I have a Facebook page. It's just called Comic Book Corner, but I think I'm going to update it. I might stop that one. I have over 1,000 likes on it, but I might stop it and just create a brand new one. All right. So here we go. Grandpa says, hello again, Mike and the webheads. Tone Loc says, I didn't like it. Bavarian says, haha, yeah, that's what it means. During normal games, I read in between commercials. So Bavarian, who is your favorite football team? You guys know I like the Dolphins. You should know that, as I wear my necklace in pride each and every day. I don't think I've taken this thing off in years. Maybe one day they will get back to the Super Bowl. Maybe. All right, so let's talk about more comic books. So here's a book that was, I didn't know what to think of it. Immortal Hulk, great power. This is issue 1, or one shot, I guess you can call that, okay? First of all, very nice cover. Second of all, Immortal Hulk's been pretty good series. Maybe not as strong as it once was when it first came out, right? But it's been good. And then when you mix the two together, like Spider-Man and Hulk, like that's pretty badass, right? So I think that's cool. So, and then again, if you read Web of Spider-Man back in the day, they have a cover where Spider-Man looks just like this, except it's a little bit more, 90s style, okay? And it's kind of cool how it opens up. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. And it's quoted by Ben Parker. So, and it says, this story takes place before Immortal Hulk issue 14 and Fantastic Four issue 12. So that's pretty cool that we sat there and came up with a timeline for this book. I think more books need to do that. Where does it fall, right? And so Tom Taylor is actually the writer of this book. And this is kind of awesome because we get to see Bruce Banner wake up and he realizes that he can't feel the Hulk. The Hulk is not there, okay? And Spider-Man also happens to be there as well. And somehow, all of a sudden, the Spider-Man changes into the Hulk. So I was like, oh yeah, that's badass. And so now it's pretty awesome because you get to see Spider-Man or Spider-Hulk or Immortal Spider-Hulk web slinging through the city, which is awesome. And he just like breaks through buildings, and he when he sticks to the buildings, he puts like practically holes in them. And it was so cool. And we get to see this battle happen between the Fantastic Four, between Immortal Spider-Hulk, and it was really a lot of fun. So the whole thing is they had to take him to Astra Island, which is like a military base. So when Peter Parker becomes normal again during the day, he doesn't destroy anything and he can't go anywhere. So I think this is why the time period is pretty important, why they quoted that below, because in the most recent issues of Immortal Hulk, Hulk can kind of come out during the day now. So that's why this was kind of important that they quoted that. So what happens is they had to find out, first of all, who or how Peter got the powers of the Hulk. And we found out that Loki was behind this thing. And he tried to actually help Bruce Banner, but it was like a complete fail. So then they came up with this lab in this project to actually come up with this experiment to get the irradiation away from Peter Parker. And it was cool because when they went out, there was some good humor there. They had to wear Fantastic Four t-shirts, but there was 5 of them. And they're like, you say you're Fantastic Four, but there's 5 of you there. It was like this constant joke throughout the comic, which was neat. So once they figured out the formula, they went back to the island. They came up with this room. They stuck Bruce Banner in there. They stuck Spider-Man in there. And then what happens was when Spider-Man actually transformed into the Hulk, it gave a little bit of the radiation to Bruce, and this way he can actually slowly transfer the radiation from Spider-Man to him back again, but he's not some crazy beast. He can do it and still keep his senses and his rage in check. So you wind up getting to see him actually suck away the radiation or the gamma radiation from himself. This was just a fun book. This was really good. I think what made this book so great was Tom Taylor's writing. Okay. The interaction between Peter and Bruce was really good. Between the Fantastic Four was really good. And this is something where, okay, it's a one shot. Do I want to spend my money on it? But if you're a Spider-Man fan and you like Hulk and the Fantastic Four, I think this was well worth the money paid for this one. This one was $5, but it's a great story and has a lot of emotional beats in it. And it's entertaining, and the artwork was gorgeous as well. It's like I would almost like to see more Immortal Spider-Hulk, if he went on these adventures. But it was cool. It was a cool one shot. So not much else to say about it, but it was well written and very surprising issue. All right, guys, we got those 30 on there, so let's keep it up. All right, here we go. And Barbarian goes, I like the Cowboys. I live in Michigan, but I refuse to cheer for the Lions. Lions are pretty bad, and they've been bad for a long time. And it's funny how the Cowboys just have such a great team and just cannot seem to get over that hump. So I guess that's why they did the changes that they're doing now this year. Tevia says, sounds interesting. Andrew says, being from Wisconsin, I'm a Green Bay fan. Oh, I'm sure you're a huge Green Bay fan. Xavier Franco's, the mini Hulk look was cool. Puny Hulk. Yeah, that was funny. That was when they were in that building, and it's like called him like Little Hulk. Let's see. Andrew, let's see. Andrew says, Immortal Hulk, great power was cool. I like these types of one shots. Yeah, they are kind of cool, as long as the characters are right. That's what matters there. River City Noel says, I picked up Immortal Hulk, great power for the cover, but I read and enjoyed it. See, I mean, sometimes you're just surprised. I'm telling you guys, Tom Taylor, whatever he writes, he knows how to write characters. He gives them a lot of emotion, and he digs deep inside of them, and he makes you care for them. So anything that he writes, I recommend that you pick up. He's a great writer. Esau says, go Cowboys. And Francisco Pinto says, something Mexico. Guadalajara, Mexico. Que tal un salud? Maybe saying hello. I don't have a translator on here, but thank you, Francisco, for watching, if you understand me. So that's the extent of my Spanish right there. All right. So let's talk about a DC book. So I saw a couple people in my comic book hall said that they forgot that Justice League issue 40 came out and that it was a new creative team, right? So for instance, when you have a new creative team, maybe we should kind of advertise that in the book or something, new story arc, blah, 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 because Snyder was on that book for a very long time, and kind of people have tuned it out of their heads, because some people weren't into the new, his Justice League, because it was one continuous story, and people, if they didn't read it from the beginning, you might have been lost. So with this one, I've been paying attention to the solicits, and I remember reading it when I did one of my videos. I'm like, oh shit, new creative team when it comes to Justice League. So unfortunately for the Justice League, it was a pretty good book, but there's no rest for them. There's no downtime. They go through all this shit, and then the very next story arc, there's more shit that happens. There's no rest for the weary. Okay. So what happens in this book is we get to see some mysterious man fall from the sky, right? And we get to see the Justice League. They wind up making their appearance here. Okay. And now let me just say, the cover to this book is a little bit more sturdier, and the pages of this book are kind of almost older comic book style pages. It's not so glossy, and it's a little bit more durable, and your fingerprints are not going to ruin them. And that's why I like DC's quality of books better. Now, the stories right now, on the other hand, is a different, story altogether. Artwork is really good in this book. I mean, check out these opening pages. Really badass. So we wound up getting this guy. He's from Daxam, so he's a Daxamite, and he's coming to warn Superman and the Justice League that Eradicator Superman is on his way. And he's taken all of the Daxamites, and they're going to take over Earth. Okay. And because that's Eradicator's job. He wants to get rid of everybody and create a new Krypton because he wants to see the civilization continue. That's just what he's programmed for. And so we get to learn a little bit about our character and whatnot. And we find out that in order to stop these Daxamites, what's the best thing, right? Because these guys are pretty close to being like Superman, right? So we find out that it's magic. Magic is something that Superman doesn't like. So they feel like magic is the one that can stop Eradicator and all his little cronies that are coming. Okay. We get to see certain things that this book tries to do to make it relevant to what's going on in DC Comics. So you see one little panel in here about Superman, about talking about his secret, how his secret was revealed, that everybody knows how he is. And then I thought at first that DC made a mistake about Alfred being dead because you get to see him like on the computer screen here, but it's kind of like a flashback. I think for a flashback, they could have done something much better if Batman is trying to remember Alfred. Here it's like autopilot, return to the Batcave. And then the next thing you're just like, Alfred shows up. And it's just like, Alfred, remote pilot, jetpack to the cave. It's supposedly supposed to be a flashback. I even posted it on the community site, on the community part of YouTube, going, did DC forget that Alfred was, dead? Because he's in the book, right? Like right there. So I didn't even realize that it was a flashback. So that's my bad on my part, but I think they could have done a better job at doing a Batman flashback for Alfred. If you're going to throw it in there, make it good, right? So we see Batman, he goes to London. He winds up going to Madame, I think her name is Xandu. She's a magician or magic person or whatever it is. And we wind up seeing that she captures Batman here, and he needs her help to try to stop Eradicator and all his people because they make their way towards the Earth there. So that's kind of like what happens in this issue. And it was good. I mean, it was a lot better, I guess, than what some people were saying. So you get Superman who again reveals his secret. You get Flash, who is having some issues with his powers, maybe with the Speed Force of what's happening in his book. I don't know because I don't read his book. And then you get Superman again and Alfred the flashback and Superman with the reveal of his secret. So if you're looking to jump on board with Justice League once again, I say go ahead and do it. I think this is good. I think this is just kind of like an introductory arcs to get, the new creative team's feet wet. And then where the long-term goal is for Vendetti and his team is still yet to be determined. But I think the artwork is gorgeous. And I think this is something that the readers can follow again without feeling completely lost. So, yeah, I definitely recommend Justice League. I think this could be a lot of fun, especially if you're looking for that DC book again, something new and something fresh from them. So we'll see what happens with it. So that's Justice League issue 40. All right. So we got a couple comments here, so we'll see what happens. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. So we got Tevia says, honestly, I felt confused with Justice League not being a continuation of the last story. Well, from what I heard about the Justice League, the way it was ended off, it was a disappointing ending. That's what I was told. It kind of left things up in the air. And now, obviously, that you get this new creative team, why are they going to continue that story? Or maybe they will continue that story, but maybe at a later date. I don't know. I didn't read it, so I really don't have that much to say. Esau says, how are you? Greetings from Guadalajara, Mexico. So he's translating that message. So thank you so much for translating. So now I have my own translator on here. So thank you, Esau. Andrew says Justice League 40 was a breath of fresh air. Robert Venditti is going to be great on this book. I think he will too. I loved his Green Lantern, and I read Exo Man of War, and I think he did a wonderful job on that. From far as I know, he wrote Hawkman as well, and people that like Hawkman enjoyed what he did with that series also. So yeah, I can't wait to see what he's going to do with this team. That guy is Will. Says, hey, Mike, loving the episode so far. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And Tevia says, didn't the Eradicator work for General Zod and try to kill Superman and his family like his son, John Kent Superboy? I think so. I think it was a little while back. I don't remember how long ago it was, Tevia, but he did. God, how long? Was that during Rebirth? I don't even remember now. But yeah, you are right. That did happen. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch this show. Again, thumbs up, like, subscribe. Any recommendations for a possible group page on Facebook or something like that, or Patreon, anything like that, that would be awesome. I'm trying to get the overall consensus here for that. All right, so we're here. We're going to talk about the book you guys want to see this week, and that one is Batman. This is issue 88. So after reading Batman issue 88, what did you guys think about this particular book? I'm very curious to see, what do you think of Batman now? Now that we're 3 issues in, now that we got some answers, and now that Catwoman is involved in something that happened years ago, but we don't know what it is, right? And that it could mess up her relationship with Batman forever, right? So cool stuff here. First of all, my hat's off to the artist on this particular book, Gilliam March. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think everything about it is great. The detail, Cheshire looks gorgeous in this book. Catwoman with her facial expressions look absolutely gorgeous as well. Body structures, the rain falling off the characters look really nice. Just everything about it. Deathstroke looks good. The fighting scenes look good in this book. Like, everything is beautifully done in this issue. Okay, so what happens in this book? We see that Catwoman is actually talking with the Riddler here. Okay, and we found out that they have this special deal that they're working with so many of these other villains, and I'll see if I can actually remember who those villains were. Okay, and she's digging up this grave, so you get to see her that she's in here digging up this grave here, and we wind up seeing she comes across a coffin and she digs up the Joker. Am I missing something? Like, who is this Joker that's in this coffin? Like, did he die? Did I forget about something? Like, I don't remember. So guys, in the comments, let me know, because it could be a while since certain things have happened, right? So we get to see Batman, who is trying to get back to the prison cell or whatnot. And what's cool about this book so far is Lucius, on how he comes up with all these cool different devices that we haven't seen before. Okay, so there's this little thing that he has. It's like the size of a wallet, and he can put it on a car, and it projects this hologram like it's this Bat car, right? Or Batmobile. And at first he goes to Lucius, he goes, am I stealing this car? And Lucius is like, no, man. He's like, that's my Porsche. So he's driving Lucius's Porsche, and but it's as like a hologram, like Batman thing, right? And I think that was kind of cool. So we see all these mysterious people now that are going after Catwoman here, and they knock her in the face with a shovel, and she's in the grave with the Joker, and it's like talking to her and shit like that. And then we get to see Penguin, who's involved with Deathstroke and some of these other villains as well. And then there's this big brawl that starts between the villains and Batman. And we see that Penguin gets his throat slit by Deathstroke. And he's like, oh, you got to leave us alone or save the Penguin. So we find out that Batman is trying to save the Penguin, but Batman spills the beans here. Or, I mean, Penguin spills the beans, and he's like, quiet, Batman, you'll bleed out. Or, quiet, Penguin, you'll bleed out. I can cauterize with a laser. And he's just like, no damn gadgets. Listen, for us, he goes, me, the Riddler, Joker, Catwoman, the Underworld united. We did this years ago. Shell game. It's a shell game to beat you. And he goes, the false targets, they're still going to die, but they're only there to keep you busy, to keep you from stopping him from reaching the real goal, the perfect crime, the designer. So who is the designer, right? So I don't know. He goes, is this real? Is it in Gotham City? He has one true target, Bruce Wayne. So yeah, and it's kind of crazy. And at the end, you kind of get to see Catwoman there, who actually this is a huge spoiler, but again, you get to see Catwoman get out of this grave, and we get to see a mallet that hits this person's head, and the person that comes out of it is Harley Quinn. And you're just like, oh damn, and she looks good in there too. And it just says there will be blood, and she just goes, you don't know how deep this actually goes. So I mean, this was an amazing issue. I mean, right now it puts together a story where it's like, okay, now some of the stuff is starting to come together, and now I feel vested into it. Okay. So we see that Riddler has this grand scheme with the Penguin and everybody else. And what is that that scheme, and who is this designer? And it's a mysterious person. Like, I don't know. So yeah, it looks pretty good. I think this book is in much better shape now that Tom King is off of it, right? So great stuff here from Batman issue 88. I think it's exciting. And to have Harley in the book, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm curious to see how often the rotation is going to be with the artist, the artwork in there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. So let's see. Some funny questions. Okay. Tevia says, oh, we talked about the Eradicator. Okay. And then we got Xavier Frank. It says, I love to see Catwoman wet. Talking about the rain hitting her, right? The Immortal Biggie Shack is on. He says, what's up, yo? Coffee Breath is just like Biggie in the house, right? River City Noel says, I was confused with the Joker in the coffin as well. Yeah, I did not quite get that. That can't be the real Joker, right? It just can't be. It has to be someone dressed up as him or something like that, right? And then the Immortal Biggie Shack says, hey, Coffee. And, his screen froze. That sucks. Don't you hate that, man, when your screen froze when you're on the internet or on a live stream, right? Coffee Brush says, still going for me. He goes, you're good now. So you guys watching each other? Xavier says, yes, the rain. Oh, so maybe it was just your internet, or maybe it was mine. I don't know. It's hard to tell, man, because on my end, it doesn't show that I freeze up. So unless it just automatically kicks me out. Xavier Frank says, yes, the rain. Andrew says, Tinian the Fourth is building a great Batman story. Yeah, this one really comes together. Candy Rain hitting Catwoman. And that guy is Will says, I assumed it was Joker dummy with a speaker in it. See, that's the thing, though, because in the issues before that, right, there was a guy that had a speaker in his mouth and he was alive, and the foam stuff came out and that same voice was coming out of a live person. So who is that person? Is that the Joker talking inside? Like, I don't see. That's what I'm confused about. That's the one thing that we haven't gotten any clarification with. So obviously maybe that's the designer, right? And he talks. So he has like speakers in people's mouths and shit like that. I don't know. Who knows? And he has the Riddler maybe working for him. Like, I don't know. The Riddler's connected to some thing where he can see everything. Like he can go through traffic lights. He's like Google Maps or whatever. I don't know. But it was quite interesting. So we'll see what happens with Batman issue 88. I'm enjoying it now, and I'm excited for it. So, yeah. So there are the comics for this week, guys. Like usual, keep up with my channel on Mondays. Check out top 10 covers of the week. Make sure you check out on Tuesdays, top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week. Check out my comic book hauls on Wednesday. And of course, on Thursday, don't forget to check out After the Pull. And hopefully this week, you guys will check out my Marvel previews videos and DC preview videos as well. And as always, guys, I really appreciate you watching. It's been a great show. I appreciate all your comments and taking your time to watching. And it's awesome. You guys are great. And I really appreciate it. So until next week, everybody, I'll see you real soon. Have a great comic week. Enjoy reading the rest of your comics. And on Tuesday night, if you want to check in on what's it called? Comic Book Weekly, you can check that out as well. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern time, where it's a stream with 3 of my other friends. So you can check that out as we talk about my top 5 and the news and all that other great stuff. So again, guys, thanks for watching. You're awesome. And I'll see you all next week. See you soon, guys. Bye.